First and foremost, we always like to praise God, the God of Israel, our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Today, y'all, we're going to deal with a real particular subject today, y'all. Real particular subject. I'm just going to give you the title. The title is The Food of God or Satan, semicolon. Which one do you eat? The food of God or Satan? Which one do you eat?
Good subject.
Yes, sir. Believe it or not, y'all, God has a dietary law. A diet for this body. And he's real strict about this diet. And we're going to find out in this lesson how strict he is about this diet. We need to know what's good for our body for its food. If we don't eat the right kind of food, curses are going to come upon our body. And we know, as in Israel, or so-called black people in America, we the highest rate of blood pressure, cancer, diabetes, every disease it is, we on the height of the totem pole of at risk. Mainly because we're not following God's dietary law for this body. And we deal with the Bible by subject and title. And a lot of times most people think, well, once we read these scriptures that we're skipping over stuff. No, we're not skipping over stuff. You can go, you read some of these scriptures where you can start at the beginning and start from Genesis and you go all the way down to the end of the book. So we have to deal with it by subject and title. Today we're dealing with food. Food that we can and cannot eat. We're going to start in Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 2. Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 2. Believe me, sisters and brothers, I'm telling you. I told my brother, I said, man, you really don't understand that you are in grave danger every time you sit down at your kitchen table. Every time when you go into a restaurant. What I mean by you in grave danger is that there's certain food that God wants you to eat, you can put yourself in the lake of fire. And we're going to read this. We don't sugarcoat nothing here. We're going to lay it on the line. We're going to dive right in. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11. We're going to start at verse 2. Leviticus chapter 11. We're going to start at verse 2. And let's understand this. Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
He's telling you right off Jump Street. These are the animals that you can eat. And the animals you cannot eat. Go ahead.
Whosoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Understand this. If you don't know what animal to eat, God gave us a very basic instruction to understand what animals we can eat. He says, cloven-footed and with a hoof with a split in it, which is the foot have a split in it. And he says, chew with the cud, that's the grass. The grass. So you gotta understand, if he cloven-footed like a cow, he have a split hoof and he chews the grass, he's clean. But there's a lot of animals out there that have a cloven-footed that don't chew the grass, is unclean, which we're going to find out. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoofs, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you.
He ruled like a camel, he's unclean to you. And a lot of Arabian brothers, they eat the camel. And he right off point said, you don't supposed to eat that camel. Go ahead.
And the cunic, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you.
Go ahead. Verse 7. Now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of what most of our black people like to eat. And understand this, believe me, If you don't understand what's going on about this animal, you're just in great danger with God. Go ahead, verse 7.
And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you.
You don't know what a swine is? That's a pig. We talking about chitlins. We talking about pork chops. We talking about pig feet. We talking about all the stuff your mom and daddy brought you up on. And believe me, when I first read this, I love eating swine. But when I read this right here, God said, don't eat it. I said, I got to change. I got to change. It ain't that just that I stopped eating swine because it didn't taste good. It tastes real good. And that's what most people don't understand. But you're in grave danger if you eat this animal. And we're going to show you. Go ahead.
Verse 8, of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcasses shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you.
You don't even want you to touch it. Go ahead.
These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall you eat.
Now we're dealing with the waters. He's giving you a distinguished sign or body part of what they must have in the waters. Talking about the fish. Anything that live in the water, he's going to tell you how you can tell if you're clean or unclean. Go ahead.
10. And all that have not fins and scales in the sea and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
Understand, he said you got to have fins and scales, not one without the other. We talking about you can't eat crabs, shrimp, all the catfish. You got some people eating shark and all this crap in the earth that's not supposed to be ate, not supposed to be eaten. But understand this, we understand what pleases God, and most of all we understand what helps our body.
That's right.
These things right here we must know. Go ahead.
Verse 11. They shall be even an abomination unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Whatsoever has no fins, nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
So he covering everything from what's on the land and what's in the waters, what you can and cannot eat. Go ahead. 13.
And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle and the ostrich,
Go ahead.
and the osprey.
Now he's dealing with the birds. These are the birds that he telling. When he say fowl, he only talking about the birds and things that fly. Go ahead. We're going to read you some of this right here so you'll make sure you understand this.
And the vulture and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind.
Go ahead.
And the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gear eagle.
Now he give you all these birds that you are not supposed to eat. And most people say, man, I don't know what all these birds are. Before you eat it, you need to find out what it is. You got a part in finding out and understanding what bird not to eat. You can't leave it all the way up to me because I ain't going to be with you all the time.
Exactly.
I know what type of birds I eat. I know what type of fish I eat. So I'm good. You got to find out what these animals are, if you eating them or not. So make sure you understand this. Take some time out and go to your dictionary, go to your whatever. You need to go to the internet and find out about these birds. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 19. And the stork, the heron, after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, all fowls that creep, going up on all four, shall be an abomination unto you.
Now you're talking about the insects now. And you got a lot of people who eat insects. There's certain insects you can't eat. Now you eat certain insects now.
That's right.
And he's going to tell you. Go ahead.
21. Yet these may be eaten of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap wither upon the earth.
Now he's going to tell you which one of these you can't eat. These insects, go ahead.
Even these of them ye may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
These are the insects that you can eat. I don't really want to eat them, but you can't eat them. They're clean. We're just going through the dietary law so you understand what God wants and what He don't want.
Exactly. Crazy.
Like I say, it's almost like when you go into a buffet, believe me, you're going to have almost a lot of this stuff on there. You got to distinguish between what is clean and what is unclean. That's why I don't like eating. I ask questions when I go and eat. Hey, what y'all put in this? What y'all put in that? What kind of fish is this? What kind of fish is that? I don't deal with that because I know what God's dietary law is talking about. It's abomination. But it's going to go out there thinking like, okay, you got we eating some greens, ain't no pork in this. Yeah, you better find out what they're seasoning that meat with, them greens with, or them vegetables with. You better find out all that stuff. That's why I like eating home. I know what I'm getting at home. Go ahead.
Verse 23.
Uh-huh.
But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you.
Tell him this abomination he cannot stand. This abomination, he detests this. Jump down to verse 27. Go ahead.
And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all 4, those are unclean unto you. Whosoever touches their carcasses shall be unclean until the evening.
Now he telling you the ones that got paws. You talking about tigers, you talking about bears, you talking about lions. Believe me, some people eat these animals. And one dude almost just went crazy because he ate some bear meat. Bear meat. And a lot of them like this stuff. But if you don't read this dietary law, understand what you're supposed to eat, what you're not supposed to eat, you're offending God. Offending God. Jump down to verse 29.
These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel and the mouse, and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole.
Now understand, these folks eat all this stuff. The weasels,
right.
We talking about squirrels. We talking about coons. Believe me, if you from the country, they ate that stuff. Roadkill, coons, squirrels. You don't even supposed to eat this stuff, man. This stuff, these are scavengers who God put on this earth to clean the earth. It ain't like it is today where we got garbage cans to come pick this stuff up. These animals clean and purify the earth. They ate this stuff up. But what is man doing now? They do away with the Old Testament and they picking up these animals and eating them and making money off of them. Making money. That's a big industry of swine. You got pork everywhere.
That's right.
It's a big industry.
Yes,
but most people say, well, God cleaned it up in the New Testament. We're going to find you that He cleaned nothing up. It's just your preacher ain't telling you the right thing. Well, let's keep reading on that. Verse 31.
These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever doeth touch them, when they be dead, shall be unclean until the evening.
You tell them, you touching this stuff, you got to be unclean to the evening. Now, you know a lot of people who are butchers, they go and cut all this stuff up. They dirty or not clean until the evening time. From the time the sun go down, then they're clean. That's all they say, unclean to the evening. Jump down to verse 41. You're just going through this dietary law. You got to go back and research this stuff yourself. One thing God said in the book, study to show yourself approved.
That's right.
Study. Every man and woman work out his own salvation.
Come on, bro.
I can't do it for you. Mr. LC can't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. Only you can do it for yourself and having this knowledge in your mind. Verse 41. Go ahead.
And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten.
Yes, sir.
Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all 4, or whatsoever has more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat.
Now we
They are an abomination.
Yes, sir. See, we gotta understand that you got some people out there eating alligators. Oh, I love that alligator tail. He said all the animals that goes on the belly, on all four. That don't crawl on his all four, walking on his belly.
That's right.
Then you got people who like to eat snakes. Snakes. That's a delicacy today. Then you got people who like to eat mouse. They eat everything. Dogs, cats, everything. They eat it all. That's why we eat that food at them Chinese restaurants sometimes. I think I'll get me some vegetable fried rice. I'm kind of suspicious that chicken on the steak, on the stick. Yeah. Y'all both talking about chicken. Y'all don't like no chicken. So, I can't deal with that. They tell you chicken, okay, but I don't know. I can't deal with that. But these are, well, I'm trying to make sure you understand and know where to go and get this. So when you sit down in front of these people eating, you know you can tell them, look, don't put this in my food. Or don't do this, or don't do that. We don't eat that. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure you have a good understanding of this. This is the dietary law. Go ahead and keep reading.
Verse 43. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby.
See, when you eat these things that are not supposed to be eaten, you are defiled in God's eyes. Defiled. You are unclean.
That's right.
He can't stand to look at you. He can't stand that stuff on your breath. And I'm telling you, he smells it. Let's get that. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 65. Isaiah chapter 65. Well, excuse me. Let me go. Let's stay in the same book. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 17. Let me hit this right quick. Then we're going to go to that. Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 10. We got to deal with something that, a lot of people like to eat. We're going to deal with that medium rare steak. Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 10. Go ahead and get it, bro.
And whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or the strangers that sojourn among you.
Now he telling you, he said the house of Israel. We always like to express Israel. Israel is the leader. Them are our people. It's a one law for Israel and the stranger. Stranger can be the white folk, African, all the other nations. He said this is for you and them. There's no difference in, that's the law of the Jews, and then the New Testament is the law of the Christians. No, it's for everybody. You got to follow the law of Israel. That's God's people. He gave it to us first, and then he give it to the nation to teach.
Crazy.
Go ahead.
Finishing 10.
Okay.
That eateth any man of blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and will cut him off from among his people.
Now understand this. Now he said, I don't want you to eat blood. And what he talking about blood? You got a lot of people who say, I want a medium rare steak. You got a lot of people who say, well, just put mine on the grill until it be brown on one side, the other side, and take it off. They want to eat that blood. That stuff God said you do not do. He gonna cut you off from that. You don't eat blood. And I'm still trying to understand this blood transfusion, about that. I'm not quite sure on how to take a blood transfusion. I'm not gonna put the information out there, but the thing is, you got to be careful about this blood, any blood, especially if you're eating it. So you eat some food, you see some blood in it, hey, get rid of that. Don't even eat it. Period. Go ahead.
Verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul.
Go ahead.
Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood.
He telling you, he said, from Israel and the stranger, one law for all. Don't nobody eat blood, period. Period. So check your food. Go ahead.
13. And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourn among you, which hunteth and catches any beast of fowl that may be eaten, he shall even pour out the blood thereof and cover it with dust.
Yes, sir. When you hunting, you supposed to let the animal. You supposed to cut the neck, hang him upside down, and let the blood drain off of it. That's how it's properly supposed to be done. But these people today, they strangling the animals and all this and whatnot. I don't know what they're doing. Some might be doing it, some might not be doing it. But we understand if you going out there hunting, like a deer or something, deer season, you should hang that animal upside down and cut the neck and let the blood drain out first before you eat it. Make sure all that blood is drained out, then cook it well. Go ahead.
14. For it is the life of all flesh. The blood of it is for the life thereof.
Yes, sir.
Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off.
You see what he said? If you eat that blood, you'll be cut off, meaning you are not going to be a part of his kingdom. Period. You're going to be cut off. They don't deal with that. Something simple as you going in there cooking a steak. I like mine medium rare. I want a little pinkness in mine. That simple that will cut you off from Israel. So understand that the God of Israel in his kingdom, I didn't say it, y'all have seen it. Y'all read it right along with me.
Come on.
Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 2. We're going to deal with this thing about when you eat these abominations that God told you not to eat. And believe me, he can smell it. He can smell it. He said, like smoke in my nose. I can't stand when these people eating this stuff. We're going to deal with you preachers who like to twist scripture in the New Testament. Thinking that when Jesus died, when he went to the cross, he cleaned all the animals up you can eat.
That's right.
That's crazy. Now, how you going to be mad at Israel back in the Old Testament, and then it's okay for Israel to do it in the New Testament? He's an unfair God if he do that. Very unfair.
That's right.
He said, I'm the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. Ain't no changing.
Come on.
But most people today, with your ignorance of the book, they will fool you. They'll fool you and think that you are doing okay. As long as you do, all you have to do is just pray over it. Just pray over it.
That's what they say.
I tell you what, you take some roaches and pray over it. Eat them. Now, like I said, you won't eat them, will you? And most people say, I can't eat no roaches. So why you eat a crab? We in the same family. Same family. That's an insect. That's the same family. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 2. Let's see how God feel about these people, man, who just eating this food that he told them not to eat. Go ahead.
I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts.
He said, I spread my hands out and tell y'all, please follow this law. I'm giving it to you in a book. Read it, follow it, and make sure you don't make me mad. He spread his hands out before you. Go ahead.
Verse 3. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick.
He telling these people are making me mad continuously. Who sacrifice it, meaning they're killing something. Go ahead.
Which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abomination things is in their vessels.
This is what he's saying. You provoking me to anger when you cook up that gumbo. That gumbo and rice, shrimp, crab, whatever it is you put in there from the sea. And you put some swine in it. He said the broth of the abomination. Like folks like to eat that pot liquor off certain meats. Pot liquor off of swine. Pot liquor off catfish. Whatever it is that you were doing, eating pot liquor, he said the broth of the abomination. Y'all eating the meat and the broth. Look at God. Look what he said. Now look what he said in verse 5. Go ahead. This is how these people are looking at him when they're eating this stuff. Go ahead.
Which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou.
He said, these people said, I'm holier than thou. Don't come near to me. It's okay for me to eat this. Tell them that they can't eat swine and see what they tell you. Tell them. They say, oh, brother, that's for the Old Testament. I can eat it. Now look, my grandma lived to be 80 years old. My grandpa lived to be 100 years old. But when judgment comes, he going to answer for it. Now listen to what the Lord said. Start it over again.
Okay. Which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day.
God said, these are a smoke in my nose. Meaning that, you ever sit around somebody who's smoking a cigarette and you can't stand a cigarette? Every time you cook that swine, every time you eat it, it's just like that to God. I can't stand this person. I'm like, for me, I can't stand a person stand around me smoke cigarette because it's a smoke in my nose. It's just like God said, when you cooking that swine, you cooking that catfish, you eating that shrimp, you eating that shark, that bear, that snake, whatever it is you eating that's abomination, you are smoking his nose, and he can't stand you. Period. I know they ain't told you you need church. I know they ain't told you this.
No.
But we're going to get to the business of things of this New Testament. Let's go to Acts chapter 10. That was the last one.
One more.
One more verse?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's read the last verse.
Said, behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silent, but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom.
When he mean recompense, he going to deal with you.
Pay you back.
He going to pay you back.
Absolutely.
He going to pay you back. It's a grace period right now, y'all. We ain't getting away with nothing. Everybody's held accountable for what they're doing. God is writing it down. Only thing I'm doing right now is showing you what you can and cannot do in the scriptures. Let's go to Acts chapter 10 and verse 9. Acts chapter 10 and verse 9. Now these are the scriptures that they will take you to try to trick you. Try to trick you because they don't understand what this book is talking about because they done threw away the Old Testament. Acts chapter 10, and we're going to read this about Peter dealing with Cornelius. And we're going to put everything in proper context. Acts chapter 10 and verse 9. Go ahead and get it.
On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance.
Now understand this. This is the scripture they're going to take you to try to justify of eating unclean food. Now God is giving Peter a vision right now. A vision about something he wants him to do. He fell in the trance, meaning that he's standing there and having a vision right now. He's showing him something. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat.
Now he telling you now, here come a voice to him. This is God trying to show him something. He telling him to rise and eat. But he ain't talking about eating food. He's showing him in the vision what he must do for the Lord. Go ahead. This is what Peter said.
But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Peter said, No, Lord, I ain't never eaten nothing common or unclean. I know what your Old Testament says.
Come on.
I know what it says.
That's right.
So you got to be careful when people come to you, or an evil angel might come to you. It's okay to eat that swine. I'm hungry. See, Peter checked me right there. He said, No, not so, Lord. I ain't never eaten none of this stuff before. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What God has cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven.
Now he said, what God has cleansed, that called not common. This is what this angel telling, this is what the angel telling, but Peter knows that he's not talking about food. He's talking about people. Now let's put this whole thing in proper context. Let's go back to verse 1. Jump back up to verse 1 in that same book. Acts chapter 10 and 1.